Have you seen Chuck Norris lately? He's still kicking butt and staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he looks more jacked than ever and seems to have more energy than guys half his age. And it's all thanks to Morning Kick, a revolutionary new daily drink from Roundhouse Provisions that combines ultra-potent greens like spirulina and kale with probiotics, prebiotics, collagen, and even ashwagandha. Just mix with water, stir, and enjoy. Unlike other green drinks out there, this one tastes exactly like strawberry lemonade and has hundreds of 5-star reviews. Go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 for up to 44% off your regular priced order. Plus, every purchase is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to experience smoother digestion, a boost of energy, and just an overall healthier body, then go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 today. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Results can vary.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
Welcome back to another episode of the Girl Stop Playing podcast. It's your favorite homegirl, Coriel, here to encourage you to stop playing with your potential and start working for what you want in life and in love. You already know that I'm bringing you the information and the conversations to help you make the money and get the honey. You can have it all as long as you are willing to work. And today we have a working woman in the building.
Hey.
We got my girl Kendall Williams in the studio.
Hi, Coriel.
Welcome to the show.
I am super excited. Thank you so much for inviting me. I appreciate it.
So if y'all follow me on Instagram, me and Kendall went live maybe like last week, 2 weeks ago, and we had such a good conversation. I was like, girl, you in Atlanta, you got to come to the studio. We have to continue this conversation on the podcast.
Yes.
We talked about, and it was literally just like 15 minutes. It was a short, sweet conversation, but we talked about so much.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the conversation, you said like 3 more things that I was like, oh, no. You gonna have to come down to the studio. So much value can come from just having conversations, hearing other people's perspectives, their experiences, their lessons learned. So much wisdom, I think, can be found in just having some of these conversations. So I'm excited to get into it.
Absolutely.
But before we do that, give yourself a proper introduction. Look right there in that camera and tell the people who you are.
Sure, yes. I am Kendall Lachey Williams. I'm the host of Moms, M-U-M-S, True, T-R-U-E-T-E-A podcast. And I tell the authentic, unapologetic truth about motherhood, and I don't really care about judgment at this point in life.
So let's get into it then. Because one of the things that you said at the end of the conversation was, now that I'm 50 plus with a grandchild, if I had to do this motherhood thing all over again, I probably would not do it.
Yeah. That shook you a little bit.
That I was like, ooh, because I've had the conversations, and they will cut you up in the comments if you say, motherhood is hard, I don't really like this maybe ain't the job for me. You can say those things and people give you no grace for your truth.
Right.
But I've had the conversation of like, this just isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like, this is hard. We aren't talking about it. But I haven't necessarily had a conversation where someone was like, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't do that. So talk a little bit about your journey, your experience as a mother that has led you to the conclusion of like,
Yeah. So first, let me say this. I think there's always 2 truths, no lies, right? So my 2 truths are, I love my sons who are adults, 28 and 33. However, I have not enjoyed motherhood. So as we talked about real quick on the podcast, on our live, I was like, my experience as a mom has not been easy. So first of all, I started out as a teen mom. That's difficult in itself. My son's father never really played a part in his life. We were both in high school, so he went on to live his life and move around the cabin, and I had to shift my life. Then I got married. I was in an abusive relationship and then got a divorce. So I have experienced so many different things as a mom that have not been joyous experiences for me. So, like I said, there are some joyous moments. However, it has been very, very difficult for me. And funny enough, it's been harder having adult children than it has been when they were younger.
Oh, you just said so much. So what I heard was becoming a teen mom, in your opinion, in hindsight being 2020, kind of set your life on a path of having to pick up the pieces and figure it out, and you maybe didn't ever find your footing from your teenage years.
No, not until now, and I'm 51 years old.
And motherhood, you feel like was that's kind of what you spent your time doing.
Absolutely.
You were so focused on raising children that you didn't necessarily have time to raise yourself or figure out who you were.
Absolutely. So you have to understand, I was headed to college when I found out I was pregnant. I was almost in my last year of high school. I found out I was pregnant by accident, to be completely honest. And now I have to shift from, I'm no longer going off to college. I'm not going to look at colleges anymore. I'm not going on that journey with my counterparts as far as schoolmates are concerned, right? Now my sole focus, when I crossed that stage at graduation and got my diploma, there was a stroller on the other side with my son in it. So I had to redirect my entire life. So I did go back to college, but at that time now I'm a mom, I'm a professional, I got a side hustle, I'm newly married. So now I'm not having that journey alone as Kendall, but I'm having that journey as a mom and a wife and a business owner and also someone working in corporate America.
With all of those responsibilities that never allowed you the freedom to just ever really focus on yourself.
Never. I say motherhood is the hardest and the longest job that you'll ever have with no days off. You don't get any sick time, PTO, and sometimes it's a thankless job as well.
Most of the time.
And I don't
think expectation.
Absolutely. And I think I've always been very honest about my motherhood journey, where my friends would laugh at me. But I'm like, I would rather be 100% real about this, because I know at some point someone has to come to me and say, girl, I feel like that too. And that's what I'm hearing on this platform, because I'm not afraid to say the quiet parts out loud. Like at this age, I'm not trying to impress anyone. And I've always been genuinely me and 100%. So, yeah.
So when I had my first son, I was literally, my story is the opposite of yours.
Okay.
I had my first son at 35.
Okay.
Right? So literally opposite. And maybe same week postpartum, I remember thinking to myself, I'm 35 years old, right? And I'm thinking, how the hell are these 16-year-olds having babies? How in the world can a teenager even mentally wrap her mind around the dedication, the commitment, the sacrifice that it takes to literally give your life to someone else? That is why I am so vocal on my platform about the responsibility of parenting, that this ain't cute. Having a baby, they're literally a baby for less than a year. That ain't like, even cute.
Real.
You know, the pictures are cute, but the process,
it's not.
It is not cute.
Not at all.
We are not honest about it. We celebrate bad decisions. We want to talk about things once it's too late, and we're trying to pick up the pieces. And I'm all about preventative. Like,
absolutely.
Let's have these conversations, uncomfortable conversations on the front end, so we can prevent these painful realities on the back end.
Absolutely.
Because we get it does no one is winning.
No.
The child is surviving. The mother is literally surviving, but 9 times out of 10 you're not happy.
No.
You know, and an unhappy mother impacts a child times 10.
I agree.
So how old you were a teen when you had your first son? Then you had your second son.
Yes.
Do you feel like that set you back on maybe progress that you might have made, or what was that process of becoming a mom of two like?
It became, oh God, here I am again. Like, I didn't want to have another child. My ex-husband begged me to have a child. And I was like, I don't want to do this. Like, I feel like I'm almost getting my footing at 20 plus years old. Still young, but now I'm adding another child in it and more responsibility. And then I have to take accountability for the fact that I wasn't loving myself enough to leave a low vibrational relationship. So I have to be accountable for that, right? But at the same time, I'm like, this is my husband. We don't have any children together. You want this picture perfect, like, oh, I'm married now. I'm not just a teenage single mom. I'm married. I have a kid. But it's a fallacy. And I don't think people really want to tell the truth about that.
And a lot of times it's control, it's manipulation.
Absolutely.
I want to see you pregnant. Well, give me a baby too. So
Yeah.
much comes behind that. And nobody gets married with the expectation that you're not going to be married forever, right?
Absolutely.
But God forbid something does happen. If you are not 100% on board to have this baby, 9 times out of 10, you're about to be 100% responsible for this baby.
And I have been, even as an adult, his father. Like, once we got divorced, the co-parenting thing, I tried to co-parent in a very mature way. My ex-husband, on the other hand, he did not. To the point where I would have to unplug the phone in the mornings because he would call and rile my younger son up. And that would be a whole nother ordeal. There have been times that I've just gotten to work and I'm putting my bag down and I'm getting a call from the school because he was experiencing so much anger and he was upset, but it was directed to me because I was the one that was present. And I think people also disregard that too.
The parent that stayed.
Yes.
You're picking up the pieces and you're getting all of it. You have to deal with all of it. So not only are you trying to navigate your own feelings,
absolutely,
leaving a relationship. And ladies, we already know, a bad relationship, baby, it will literally ruin you.
It will.
So to be trying to pick up the pieces for yourself and then trying to help your children navigate a transition as well. Y'all, it is the most difficult, challenging.
Absolutely.
I say to myself often, how are moms not doing drugs? That is not politically correct. But how are y'all surviving?
But that's real.
And y'all, people are doing drugs. That's where the prescription pills, the wine at the soccer
all
games.
Of that.
How are you maintaining? Like mentally, it is just so draining.
It is.
And I'm not even a single mom.
Yeah.
And it is tough.
Yeah, I don't think people really recognize or consider the mental well-being of moms.
Where are the resources?
There's no resources. Nobody even wants to discuss how motherhood can impact your mental health. I had a whole conversation on an episode with a therapist with Ascend Therapy, and we had a conversation around how motherhood can affect your mental health. Imagine worrying about someone else all of the time, in addition to the other things that you're trying to juggle. And this is a constant job. And like I told you, just because they become adults, that does not necessarily mean that goes away. That's another level of worry and another level of motherhood at that point. But nobody wants to talk about the fact that motherhood absolutely has an impact on our mental health and our mental well-being. I have PTSD from motherhood, and I will shout that from the mountaintops.
So talk through some of those challenges, some of those obstacles that you dealt with on your motherhood journey.
Yeah.
That has left you with PTSD. Because some of the things that you told me that you have gone through are not things that I've ever heard anybody talk about.
Yeah.
And I just feel like when you never are exposed to people who are living real lives.
Absolutely.
You just think everything's supposed to be fun and easy and it'll flow and I'll just get mother's intuition and I'll know all the answers. And no, the hell you won't.
No.
You won't.
No.
So what are some of those things that... I got some on my notes, but I want to see if you'll bring them up. So
okay.
Go ahead. Some of those challenges.
Like we said when we talked before, hey, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
So I would say, like I said, with my younger son, and the reason why I bring my younger son up the most is because I've had the most challenges with him. People always say, oh, you have a favorite. It's not a favorite. It's just that one or two of your children are going to require less of your attention than others, right? So it's not about a favorite. It's about the one that you have to be focused on all the time. And most of the time when you're focused on them so much, it's the negative part of it. So we started with, like I said, my ex-husband and I, when we got a divorce, I really tried to be a good co-parent. There was never any discussion about all the turmoil that I had gone through, domestic abuse, etc., him pulling a gun on me. Like, my younger son did not know any of that because that was never a conversation that I wanted to have. I've never bashed either one of their dads because to me it was not beneficial or conducive for me to have a negative conversation with them about their dads, whether they were there or not. That's number one. So my younger son was angry, especially when I moved on. He created this narrative that
How old was he?
He was 8 years old when I got divorced. So he created this narrative that I had cheated on his dad. He's carried that up until now. He's 28 years old. He still talks about that now. And my husband now, who's amazing, we have sat down, had a full-on conversation, laid it out for him, the timeline. Not that I owe him any explanation, but okay, if this is bothering you, let's have a conversation about it. And he's still convinced, and of course, his dad being the type of person that he was, he never tried to correct it, right? So that's number one. Then I dealt with a lot of behavioral issues with him, even coming up from elementary school. We relocated here from Florida. And he didn't want to come. He wanted to stay with his dad. It was very hard for me, but at the same time, I'm like, that is your dad. So he stayed with his dad maybe like a year and a half, but he was always here with me. Every single time, there would be some type of turmoil. When he came to our home, it was negative every single time. And that has transitioned into him getting into legal trouble. Like I told you before, I have sat in so many courtrooms around the state of Georgia. It's embarrassing. So those are the things that give me PTSD. My son was raised in a very nice suburban home in Douglasville, Georgia, and my son decided he wanted to act like he grew up in the West End.
We don't ever hear from the moms.
Unpack it.
We never hear from the moms because now that I'm a mom, I make the assumption, like probably everybody does, that I'm going to teach you the right way to do it. I'm going to raise you right. And how you raise your child, if we're being honest, you can do the best you can, but at the end of the day, they have to make decisions for themselves. Yeah. And you know, the embarrassment, I can imagine. The blame, the guilt, the fear. All of that.
The fear. Imagine your child, you're going into courtrooms and you're seeing your child come out with chains around their waist. It has been very traumatic, and that's why I say I have PTSD. And nobody wants to have these conversations. And I've been having these conversations. So it's not new to me.
Knowing what you know now, though, literally doing like one of those connected dot pictures. Is there anything that you feel like you would have or could have done differently that maybe would have, like a counselor? Would you have, when you got a divorce? Okay. So because I want to know, how can I don't want to sit in a courtroom with my child. Yeah. What is your advice to a mother who does not want to sit in a courtroom with her son?
I don't even have any advice that I could give because my son came into a home with my husband and I. My husband is an amazing man. He's never raised his voice at me. He's the first man in my life, including father, that has shown me unconditional love, right? He is the first man that has supported me. He has been an amazing role model for both of my sons. However, my younger son was not attracted to that. My husband's too straight-laced. He's a corporate dude. You know, that didn't appeal to him. Only the tech side, because my husband is into technology. That appealed to him because my younger son is smart as hell. However, the calmness, and because my husband's not rah-rah, that didn't appeal to my son. So back to your question, I don't think there's anything that you can do, to be completely honest, because, again, he was raised in a good home once I got remarried. And even preceding that, because I'm not going to take away anything just because I was no longer married, that I didn't raise my children in a good home and give them morals and values and show them a great example of resilience. However, your children will choose their own paths.
That is the scariest.
They will choose their own paths. So you can pray about it, but your children are still going to choose their own path. He chose his own path. We did therapy. I had counselors coming into my home. We tried to do therapy. We went to therapy. We went to family counseling. I connected him with mentors. I did whatever I needed to do as a mom to give him the right tools and point him in the right direction. He chose opposite. So I know it's scary to hear, but the truth is, it's really up to your child. Even if they're raised in a two-parent home, It does not matter. Your child is going to choose their own path.
Mm-hmm. Is that what makes you say that being a parent to adult children is scarier?
Absolutely. You have a little bit more control at the age that your babies are. And when you're younger, you know what I'm saying? When you have younger children, you still have a little bit more control. Once they hit that teen and they start to have a little bit of freedom, and then once they become adults, for me, that has been the traumatic part for me. And that's why I said what I said before we got off the phone. If I could do it again, I wouldn't.
See, I be over here counting my blessings. One boy, two boy, feeling like I done avoided the girl mom life. You know, because we know the challenges that can come along, even down to just the smart mouth that I'm not interested in, right? I feel like, woo, I done avoided it. But some of these challenges that you're talking about are literally like top 1, 2, 3 of the boy mom stuff that you don't want to face or deal with. And it is just a terrifying thought.
It is.
That it's a gamble.
It is.
That it can just 50-50. Be going either way. You going to go the right way, or you going to be so annoyed by me trying to teach you the right way that you're going to go opposite of that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So with that being said, I would say, you know what? Live your life. Continue to do what you're doing, because I think you also manifest things too. I feel like at some point I kind of manifested my son getting into trouble. I have, and when I say that, I had so much fear because I saw the path that he was going on. And then also I have PTSD from my father. My dad was in and out of prison for many, many years. My dad actually died in prison in 2014. And we were estranged, and my husband and I still laid my father to rest. But I had so much fear because of that I feel like I also could have manifested my son going down that path, because I saw the path he was going down, and I was trying to stop it and control it, and it consumed me, and it ended up happening exactly how I didn't want to happen.
So what does that look like, consuming you? Was it like I'm so hyper focused on this that I'm doing all my energy is going into...
All my energy went into him, and all my energy went into trying to keep him from going down that path. But you can't hold your children hostage. I still have to work. I still have to navigate my life. So I couldn't control him and hold on to him. If I could have put him in a bubble, I would have. But then you also lose focus of the child that's not giving you trouble.
That was my next question. Is how did this impact your oldest son?
With my older son, he's a lot like me. He's calm. You know, he's very artistic. He sings around the world, actually. But I do believe I lost focus of him, because I was so hyper-focused on this one being in trouble all the time. So he kind of flew under the radar. He's far from perfect. He just gave me less trouble than the younger one did during his teenage years. Now, his adulthood, he's kind of transitioned into some shit, too. You know what I'm saying? And he's 33 years old, and that's why I said, just because your child is older, you are still a mom. That shit does not end. Like, it just doesn't end. That does not stop. It's just a different level.
What does 33-year-old level trouble look like? What? No, I refuse to accept it.
Not trouble like in and out of jail like that, but maybe some addiction issues it could look like. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's had some issues with, maybe drugs or alcohol. And it was shocked me, because I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't you? You know what I'm saying? So... But it happens. Or financial responsibility. Like, they have seen me. I think I made it too easy for them where they thought it was easy.
That is such...
Have you seen Chuck Norris lately? He's still kicking butt and staying active well into his 80s. What's even more shocking is he looks more jacked than ever and seems to have more energy than guys half his age. And it's all thanks to Morning Kick, a revolutionary new daily drink from Roundhouse Provisions that combines ultra-potent greens like spirulina and kale with probiotics, prebiotics, collagen, and even ashwagandha. Just mix with water, stir, and enjoy. Unlike other green drinks out there, this one tastes exactly like strawberry lemonade and has hundreds of 5-star reviews. Go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 for up to 44% off your regular priced order. Plus, every purchase is backed by a 90-day money-back guarantee. So if you want to experience smoother digestion, a boost of energy, and just an overall healthier body, then go to roundhouseprovisions.com/save44 today. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Results can vary.
Why are so many dogs suffering from health issues? Actress Katherine Heigl, who's helped save over 16,000 dogs through her foundation, says she's seeing more issues with dogs' joints, odors, and health than ever before. And after doing a ton of research, she feels there's one place we can look to support any dog's health: their food. So she decided to create something she could actually feel good about feeding her dogs. It's called Superfood Complete. Superfood Complete is made with over 30 of the healthiest ingredients on the planet, including several superfoods vital to your dog's health. Badlands Ranch also sponsors the Jason Debus Heigl Foundation, which has helped rescue thousands of dogs and place them in loving homes. Dogs across America are trying this food and experiencing amazing health benefits. Go to badlandsranch.com/save50 and order right now to get up to 50% off your regular price order with a 90-day money-back guarantee. If you want your dog to experience all these incredible things, go to BADLANDS ranch.com/save50 today.
Hey, it's Sean Nelson, founder and CEO of Lovesac and host of the Let Me Save You 25 Years podcast. Want to skip the trial and error so you can head straight to success? Join me and incredible guests like Olympic legend Shaun White and NFL superstar Rob Gronkowski as we share the lessons and mistakes that shaped our journeys. Ready to save yourself 25 years? Tune in on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. That's Let Me Save You 25 Years with Sean Nelson. Listen now.
Baby, motherhood, parenting, the amount of decisions that you have to make every day, and not just like what we're going to eat for dinner, but like decisions that impact how you turn out as a human being. The pressure
It's a lot.
of trying to get it right
It's a
will
lot.
literally just take you under. And then there's no way to guarantee you're going to get it right. There's no way to guarantee you're going to get a
It's a
return on this
lot.
investment.
That's what I said. If you listen to my first episode, I said it was about dispelling the myth of motherhood, because it's a lie. Somebody lied to us. Somebody sold us this dream that motherhood comes with this joyous, and you are in complete joy, and nobody talks about the truth, because social media and then other people too, even some of your friends are portraying like they got the best kids. They're posting that shit on social media. Now you're looking at it like, damn, what am I doing wrong? Because you're not having these problems. I remember telling my husband, like, I feel like the world is spinning and my world is standing still, because in the group of people that I was affiliated with, I was like, how are y'all not having these problems? But at the same time, their children were younger, like yours at the time. I'm the oldest one in that group, in that circle. So now they have teenagers. However, I know I've been the only one that has been very honest from the very, very beginning.
And that is the point, or should be the purpose behind these platforms. It's like not just getting up here to talk about trending topics,
Right.
but I don't know too many safe spaces where you can really have a conversation and say, I love these kids, but I don't like what my life became as a mother. I don't like who I had to become as a mother. I feel like I missed out on XYZ when I had to give my all. I be looking at my husband like, why are we broke? And then I turn around and I look at my kids. And
That's
I'm like,
why.
number one and number two.
Absolutely.
Mortgage payment is going to tuition, and they're 1 and 3. You know, but we're not talking about it. We're not talking about the impact that becoming parents has on a relationship.
Why
We're not
aren't we talking about it?
Because we want to look perfect. We want to portray this perfect Patty. I got it all together. And I do think that a lot of that is the Black culture of keeping your business in the house. Don't tell anybody. But it's not even, we're not talking about on these platforms. We're not
Right.
even talking about it with our friends.
Right.
So your best friend can be over here struggling, but she's too ashamed to admit it because you look like you got your shit together too. I've definitely, in these last few years, motherhood has got me to the point where it's like, I don't care how it looks.
Right.
It is hard.
You don't.
Help me figure it out.
You don't. I haven't cared for a long, long time. And that's why I said every time my son got arrested, went to jail, and it kind of hurt my feelings too, because you do feel like you're going to be judged. And then at some point, I just didn't give a damn. Like, I'm just like, this is my truth. And this, if I continue, not only if I navigate the stresses of motherhood, but if I don't speak on it or talk, or that's what my sister group was supposed to be for. So I did feel judged, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't care. This is me releasing, and if this can help someone else feel comfortable enough to have these conversations, then so be it. And another group of mine, we had some dinner, and I was like, hey, I've been thinking about having this podcast. Like, I've had this written down for 6 years and would never pull the trigger for the sake of, are women really ready to have this conversation? And then my husband was like, I got you the equipment. It's set up in your office. People need to hear your story. Because, Coriel, I gave you the cliff notes. I have been through far more. You have the incarceration. You have the jail part, which is traumatic in itself. Fearing that your child is going to prison. Thank God he never went. But he has spent some long periods of time in jail. And then you have that guilt because your child is calling you, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And then my older son came out as gay. That's a whole nother conversation. Years ago.
Can we have the conversation?
Let's talk about it. Let's talk
if
about
y'all try to cancel me for this, because I don't need to talk about it.
Let's talk about
As
it.
a mother.
Yeah.
A black mother.
Yeah.
With 2 black sons.
Yeah.
Knowing what I know about, God, I got to be so careful with my words. Knowing what I know about the prevalence, knowing what I know about the intentional emasculation of black men in this country specifically, and knowing this war at this point that they are up against.
Absolutely.
Again, top 5 list of hell no's as a boy mom.
That's one.
That's on there. The top 2, and it might not be number 2. It's up there. Is it anything you think you could have done differently? Is it anything that I could be doing? Is it one of those things that it's just like you just throw it up in the air and wonder how the chips gonna fall?
I said to you earlier, there is absolutely nothing you're going to be able to do to control the narrative of your child's life. If your child is gay, how are you going to teach them not to be gay? Because, like you said, we've had this conversation. It wasn't acceptable. Even when I found out, I was kind of like, wait a minute. It was the most devastating thing for me.
Were you surprised?
I was surprised because if you meet my son, you would not know. Him growing up, I did not know. The worst thing I thought, not the worst, like you said, don't let me get canceled before I even get started. The thing I was concerned about is my son being with a white woman.
They can't cancel you over here because that's what we talk about over here. You won't get canceled for that
was my biggest concern. Like,
damn,
he's definitely going to do that.
Too. Yeah, that's top 5
He's definitely going to do that. And then I was like, but I'm so black and pro-black. Like, I don't
Girl,
know
you are
how
scaring
he
me.
would.
This episode might not ever air because I am... Everything you're saying is like, did that make them run? Because this is a conversation too. It's like if you push so hard with the blackness, are they gonna be yeah? Or are they gonna be like, no, that's too much?
Yeah, I don't.
If I push so hard with the masculinity, are you gonna be like, let me go to
right?
Yeah.
No, and don't get me wrong when I say real black. I mean, that's me personally. Like, I've never imposed my beliefs.
I'm trying to impose it.
I've been very vocal and very upfront, right? Because my mama is like that. My mother grew up in the Jim Crow South and during Jim Crow and was the first person to integrate her high school. So yeah.
So it's serious.
And then I'm only 5 years removed from Jim Crow era, right? Born in 1973. So it's in me, and that's just what it is. But what could I have done differently? So I'm telling you what I thought when I found out and realized that my son was gay, and we had the conversation, which was very, very tough. What did I do? Did I put my son in harm's way? Because automatically you think someone's touched your child or something inappropriate has happened. Like you said, what could I have done differently? It's not until my son said, Mom, you did absolutely nothing. This is just a feeling that I have, and I don't see women in a way that I would want to touch them or be with them in that way because I have such a high regard for women. We did an episode on that too, finding out your child is gay, and had a whole conversation about it. And he said that is why I just don't have those feelings for women. So I had to accept that, as hard as it was. And then it went from, oh my God, the embarrassment and me trying to hide it and the fear of it, to like, okay, this is my son, he's gay. Are you happy? My focus had to shift. Are you happy? And that's where my focus is right now. So no, I'm still opposed to it. I'm going to be completely honest, because I would want him to have a life. But who am I to say what's normal? Because some of us are in heterosexual relationships and they're just as toxic.
Facts.
So I think there's nothing you can do. Like, there's nothing you can do. Like, I hate to scare you, but there's, like, nothing you can do. You can continue to have all these conversations, Coriel. You can continue. But whatever character your child is going to develop, that is what's going to happen, regardless.
So, F it. I just need to live my best life. I just need to do what's going to make me happy.
Put you
that
first.
Is the best that I can do for these kids, but not stress myself out, because 30 years from now, who the hell are they going to be?
Yeah. You and I may be having the same conversation.
Don't say it. Don't say
that. No, and I'm not talking about that part. I'm just like the truth conversation. Like, girl, we had a whole conversation on this on my podcast 30 years ago. And here I am. And I'm not saying the gay part or, the power to the people part. I'm just saying in general, like, you just don't know. It's a gamble. It's a gamble. You have to focus on yourself. You have to manifest the best thing that you can for you, your children, and your partner. But you have absolutely no control.
This is the scariest episode I've ever recorded. And it's about to get scarier, because when we talk about health.
Yeah.
The homosexuality with the black man, emasculating black men, that's one thing. Yeah. Black women, they are killing us left and right.
Yes.
With the misdiagnosis, with them changing the parameters for how and when you can get pap smears. Right. Statistics are worsening, but you want me to come see you every 3 years. And
right.
It's insanity.
Yeah.
At this point, we know it's intentional.
Yeah.
And so one of the challenges that you have worked through is... or was cervical cancer.
Cervical cancer.
I would love to have a conversation around your experience prior to getting a diagnosis. Because, again, I'm all about preventative.
Absolutely.
What should we be looking for? What are these warning signs? We have to be aware enough and willing to advocate for ourselves enough to save our lives.
Absolutely.
Literally. So if you can go back to like pre-diagnosis and what were you feeling, experiencing, like what led you to even having a conversation?
That's a hard conversation, because I never felt any symptoms that I was aware of. These were my regular annual pap smears, I think in my 30s, maybe. And then I started getting, we found, a trace of, cancerous cells.
Abnormal
pap smear, HPV or whatever. So I've had LEEP procedures. I've had colposcopies. I've had these procedures where they try to cut the tissue and anticipate it not coming back. My last, I think it's a LEEP or colposcopy, where my gynecologist, he's like, I feel like I got everything. I feel like we're in a good position. However, if we have not and the cells come back, I think we need to consider having a hysterectomy. This was during COVID. I was traveling back and forth to London and Canada and Paris and stuff for work. And then I even had an apartment in Orlando that I was staying 2 weeks during COVID because I was working. And I remember my husband and I getting a call. Like I said, he said, I think I got everything, but I think we need to consider, if they come back, which I don't feel like they will, that we need to consider a hysterectomy.
Was it fibroids?
Never had fibroids.
Okay.
It was just these cancerous cells that continued to pop up on my pap smears.
Okay.
So I was preparing myself mentally, not anticipating it, but like, okay, this is the direction that I'll be going in. When I got my second one, I had polyps. They had to be removed. I had all these different surgeries. Now, mind you, all of this was going on in 2022. My younger son had a very bad accident. He almost died. Someone did die. I was going back and forth to the hospital, back and forth. He was in a coma for like 2 months. He has disabilities as a result of it. So all of that was taking place while my doctor was saying, oh, we saw some polyps. We need to remove them. Oh, we still see some cells. We really want to go back and do another procedure just to check. That second procedure was the confirmation that, yeah, it had developed not just the cells, that now you have a tumor that is a cancerous tumor from getting the ultrasounds done and etc. It was like the icing on the cake. You're dealing with your child, and I honestly believe that stress from that, okay,
That triggered it, for sure.
triggered it even more. I'm going down to Grady every single day. I'm seeing my son completely incapacitated. I'm getting calls from the doctor. Oh, we have to remove all his teeth. Oh, we need to do plastic surgery on his face. Oh, we need to replace his ribs. Oh, he lost his vision in one eye because the optic nerve was severed. All of this was going on to the point where I would be coming out of anesthesia and the nurses would be like, oh, I'm so sorry to hear about your son. And I was like, what the hell? Like, how does this lady know? Like, what's going on? Oh, you were talking about your son as you were coming out. Still worried about my son, and I'm coming out of anesthesia during that time, during the stuff. So eventually, the doctor, my gynecologist, sent me to a gynecology oncologist, and she confirmed it after we did ultrasound, another procedure, and then it was, the tumor is this size. Okay, are we going to do a hysterectomy? It's beyond the size where you could do a hysterectomy. We're suggesting chemo and radiation. So now my husband and I, we're sitting there like really having to process, like, is this real? Like, is this really real? So I went on that journey. I had radiation every single day. I had chemo once a week. And it was one of the most challenging journeys. But remember what I told you. I said I never would say that I had cancer. I never spoke those words. I always says, this is a diagnosis. It doesn't belong to me, so it cannot remain. And that's literally the mindset that I took through that. Even still having the scar from where the port was, I continue with that mindset to keep me sane. But you're absolutely right. I do believe they are trying to kill us. And then not only that, the stress from being a mother is killing us.
There's the statistics say like between 80 and 90% of all diseases, ailments, illnesses are stress related. Our body knows what it needs to do to heal itself from literally anything. Mm-hmm. But the way that stress on our system hinders it from being able to do what it needs to do to attack or fight or do whatever it needs to do to heal itself. Literally the stress of your finances, of your kids, of a bad relationship, of your job. The stresses of just life are literally killing us.
Yes, they are.
That is why mental health, it should not just be like, oh, we're just talking about mental health, but literally your life on a day-to-day basis, how you are thinking, how you are existing is literally life or death. And the way that they are playing with us, with these procedures, with these diagnoses, it's crazy. So I have a friend who is in her second battle with cancer and just has been to every natural path. She didn't go the traditional, all of the recommendations. She said no to all the recommendations.
Right. Initially,
and
I did
on
too.
her journey of just talking to all of these naturopath doctors, discovering that doing a biopsy can spread cancer throughout your body. That to me is like my brain exploded when she said this to me, because I never thought that poking something can make it spread.
Isn't that crazy?
Logically, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You poke something, it can go everywhere now.
Yeah.
Those are things that
we're not talking about.
Like, why would you do that? Like, why would that make sense? But when a doctor makes a recommendation, me being the trusting black woman that I am, I'm just going to go with what the doctor says. I'm not going to ask for a second opinion. I'm not going to think, does this logically make sense? I might not even do a Google search.
Right.
we are literally being left at the hands of someone we hope has our best interests at heart.
Well, let's unpack that, because you made a good point about you being a trusting black woman. You're assuming that this medical provider is giving you the best information and the best guidance and telling you what needs to happen. Before I decided that I was going to do chemo or radiation, I did all my research. I considered the homeopathic thing. But the first thing I asked my doctor, who was a black doctor, would you have your mother do this? Would you have your wife do this? Would you have your sister? Would you recommend this process to the women that you love and hold dear to your family? You know, hold dear to yourself. And when my doctor said absolutely, and again, you're trusting, you're assuming, and just because they're black, that doesn't mean that's it either. But my spirit was like, okay. After a couple weeks and us thinking about it and having conversations about that and juicing and doing all of those things, like, okay, this is what I have to do. And this is what I'm going to do. And it went beyond that, because I had 2 procedures called tandem ovoid procedures. And if you Google it, you're like, what the hell? Like, they literally are the worst procedures in the world.
Same question, hindsight being 2020.
Yeah.
You said you didn't feel anything. That is, girl, this is the scariest conversation
I didn't feel any pain.
Because you just go one day and they're like, yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
That is pretty devastating.
Yeah, but if you go and you're getting pap smears and your pap smears are coming back irregular quite frequently, or each time that you get one, then
what can you do, though? Because even then, the answer would be probably a procedure of some sort.
They're going to try to do a procedure, but it's like, how do we navigate this life as a black woman? Take the motherhood part out of it. How do we navigate this world as a black woman, the most unprotected species on this earth, without being stressed?
I don't see how it's possible.
You either navigate it in some way, you're getting high, you're taking pills, or you're trying to medicate yourself in a way where it numbs it. But that's temporary, because we still have the same experiences. Even in corporate America.
I think it's America. The posts that I see that they're like, I thought I had anxiety. I thought I was having a nervous breakdown.
No, it's America.
Turns out I just need to leave the country.
I say it all the time. I already told my husband, I'm like, okay, 2024, depending on how this goes, where we're moving. I travel to London quite a bit, but I'm like, I don't think I would want to be there either. Y'all are the colonizers originally.
The originators.
Let's start
of this
that.
Shit. Yeah.
And secondly, black women who are American navigating in the UK, the African women don't even support us. Let's have that conversation. That's a whole nother conversation.
That's a whole nother thing.
They're different from us. And I've said that countless times, because I'm also in the DEI leadership team at my company. And I don't sugarcoat shit. Like, I keep it all the way 100. I'm not here to assimilate with you. I'm here to do my job. I shouldn't have to make you feel comfortable every time I come into your space when these spaces aren't designed for me. But when you have a counterpart that's from the UK, they speak like their experiences are different. So it minimizes your experience as a black woman, because they're kind of making it seem like, oh, I don't have those experiences. So I'm like, oh, can't go to the UK. So where do you go? We're unprotected in most places. So where do you go?
Girl, I don't know, but I'm getting a little list together, because I got to figure it out.
Me too.
I got to figure it out while I still can save my children. You know,
Yeah.
like, while I still can give them an opportunity to just develop a non-American mindset.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe that's my answer.
That's it. You figured it out.
Look,
there it
came
is.
to me.
There it is.
There it is. And
There
I
it
am not
is.
joking. I am so
Like, seriously.
serious, because it is. There's got to be, like, there has to be. Something's got to give.
Yeah.
And maybe that's it.
Maybe
A
that's
new
it.
address.
Maybe that's the way.
Baby, listen, we could have part 2, 3,
Let's
and 4.
do it.
But you have several podcast episodes that are already out
I
where
do.
you are diving deep
Yeah.
into these conversations. So
Yeah.
for the people who, everybody needs it, whether you are a pre-mom,
Yeah.
a future mama, a rich auntie, whatever your status is, I just believe there is so much wisdom
Yeah.
in listening
Yeah.
and taking in the experiences of other people.
Yeah.
So Mom's True Tea Podcast. Look at this
Yes.
camera right here and tell the people where they can find it.
You can find me on all socials, TikTok, Instagram. Just just started a YouTube channel. You're going to see me reading a script because I'm old and I forget my shit. So I'm not as polished as Coriel, kind of speaking off the dome as of yet. So you're going to see me reading it. But it's what I have written. And it's real information that I think can help I navigate different things. You know, I talk about the motherhood thing, but even relationships, like finding grace for our parents and not letting anyone force you to forgive, because I think that's toxic. So that's a whole nother conversation, and letting forgiveness be your own journey, and just a lot of different topics that I feel like women and anybody could benefit from, because it's all our life's journey at some point, right? So Mom's True Tea, MUMS, True TRUETEA. Follow me. Tap in on these episodes. About to launch one on the 8th, and with the 2 truths, no lies. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
We will make sure all of that is linked down below.
Awesome.
Y'all subscribe to the podcast, share the show. These are the conversations I believe that can truly move the culture forward. Thank you so much for tapping in. Make sure you like this episode, share it with a friend, subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you next week. Peace. So if you enjoyed that episode, I'm willing to bet you are absolutely going to get your entire life when you log on to everybodylied.com. Y'all, I just launched my brand new blog, which is for women like me who are stepping into the newness of life, okay? Your girl got engaged, got pregnant, got married, and became a mom all in less than a year, and life came at me fast. As life was life, and I realized that a lot of the things that I had been led to believe were a lie. Survey says that was a lie. And so I am sharing all of my lessons learned and what I have discovered to be the truth, along with some resources on my new blog, everybodylied.com. Come on over if you are a woman who is experiencing the newness of life. I'll see you there.
When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply. When you need mealtime inspiration, it's worth shopping Baker's, where you'll find over 30,000 mouth-watering choices that excite your inner foodie. And no matter what tasty choice you make, you'll enjoy our everyday low prices, plus extra ways to save, like digital coupons worth over $600 each week. You can also save up to $1 off per gallon at the pump with fuel points. More savings and more inspiring flavors make shopping Baker's worth it every time. Baker's, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.